January the 1st is just a random temporal date really, but us in the West tend to use it as a time for reflection, to look back on the year gone. And 2023 has been a bizarre year for me really, probably one that leaves me bemused, a little confused, but more confident and stronger than I think I've ever been in the 47 years I've had on this planet so far. And rather than detailing all those things, because I've made dozens of videos about that already, I thought I'd take you through three of the biggest things I've learnt this year that I'll carry forward into 2024 to continue this journey that I really relished in this last 12 months. Selfish, selfless and self-care are all good things and all one and the same thing.
And remember to put yours on first before giving anyone else a hand.
Anyone that's flown will have heard this, and whilst it shouldn't take an emergency to learn this, sometimes it does take that for the penny to drop. Now, whilst my family got through 2020 with lockdown and Beck's cancer and horrendous treatment, I was not actually in great shape to cope with it. I wasn't prepared mentally or physically, and I should have been. Dave Grohl wrote in times like these, do I stay or run away and leave it all behind? I physically stayed but mentally ran away. I was having to take huge gulps of air and then holding my breath to deal with the issues under the surface, rather than being able to calmly free dive my way through it all with a lower heart rate and less stress. I did cope, but in a very destructive manner. You need to be like those crazy preppers, but rather than waiting for Armageddon, it's for both the everyday and the unforeseen. From stroppy teenagers to life-changing family events, whatever it is, you need to be ready mentally and physically for DEFCONs 5 to 1 on a daily basis. And that's not being selfish, quite the opposite, in fact. So put on your mask before helping others.
One of the most vital things for 2024 for me is to make more videos like this, to continue this journey of confidence and confusion into the next year. So if you're like me and you're interested in this stuff, then subscribe to the channel. Chances are, weirdly, if you're watching this, you're not subscribed. Do the channel a favour, help it grow. It's one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to in 2024. Hit the subscribe button and notifications bell. Speed, strength and stamina do not just apply to our physical health, it applies to our mental health too.
The mind and soul takes the same stress to grow in these areas as our body does. We have to work on our mental stamina, endurance, strength, speed and agility, just as we have to for our body. I know about long, slow runs, interval sessions, strength and conditioning, and I know how to do all of them. So what can I do to develop these areas for my mind and soul? Well, what we've already spoken about in terms of putting your own mask on first fits for a start. Making sure that I look after myself first and foremost, and then it's the obvious things so far that I've been focusing on. Having the courage to say no when I'm asked to do something that doesn't fit my and my family's agenda. Taking time for myself to reflect in a positive way, researching and trying out things that can help me along. All of the things that I'm learning making these videos, all of the endless reading, they all keep my brain active. Taking the time to be honest with myself first and foremost, and working out ways to overcome the things that we lie to ourselves about. And confronting ourselves is tough, but it does help us grow. In fact, one of the biggest things we can do to improve our mental strength, speed and stamina is
we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
In Michael Easter's book, The Comfort Crisis, he outlines how more comfortable does not equal more satisfaction. It actually equals a lower threshold for comfort. Essentially, we are never satisfied and we always want more. So he suggests something called misojis. Now, I'll be covering these in more detail in another video, but in 2023, I inadvertently carried out 2 misogis. The first was a freezing cold trip to the soaking wet Brecon Beacons in February to ride my bike in unmapped areas on terrain I'd never ridden less than a week into being sober. I learnt a lot about myself, drenched, cold, exhausted, sober and hungry in the back of that camper van and on the saddle in that trip. I just had a bit of a moment. I've got into the habit of drowning out stuff that isn't there anymore. The other was my attempt to ride 400 kilometers. I can't remember exactly how far I did ride, 250 kilometers or something, but it wasn't what I had planned. It was horrible. And again, I learned a lot about myself on that day out. I went to a very dark place and had to stay there for a very long time. But if it's anything like the last half of that last 100, I just want to go home. The point is, being comfortable with being uncomfortable and actually seeking it out is good for us. We've got it too easy, and yet we still moan and moan and moan about everything. The threshold keeps creeping up, and as I've said before, there's one upside to the energy crisis. It's that perhaps, just perhaps, we'll begin to appreciate and value what energy brings us so much more. Just maybe.
One of the single biggest things you can do to help the channel is to leave a comment and give me a thumbs up. It helps the channel grow massively, believe me, and it will help grow the channel. We'll keep looking at things like this. Let me know what you think of the things I've spoken about so far in the comments below. Do it now.
Now I'll be exploring these ideas and so much more, and of course swimming and cycling and running fit into these along the way. But I've come to realise in this last 12 months that they are actually just puzzle pieces and not the whole picture.
So what are you looking forward to in 2024? Anything that I've spoken to speak to you, helping you in any way, leave a comment. And here's to an amazing next 12 months. Why do I always film these things when I'm running up a hill? And I'll see you on the next video. Please take care of yourselves and those around you.